everybody. Welcome back to the Law and Crime Network. 'Tis the afternoon session here. Michael Bryant with you for that couple of hours here. And we're going to get back into that case out of Ohio against Brooke Richardson. All I can say is the big question is murder, manslaughter, misdemeanor, miscarriage, mistrial. We're going to get back to that. So Detective Chris Wong there talking Cellbrite stuff. Whenever I hear Cellbrite and other fancy-mancy little forensic stuff, I think of Joseph Scott Morgan, and he is with us today. I'm grateful to have you here, Mr. Forensic Death Investigator. Good to see you again, Joseph. How are you?
Very well, Michael. How are you, my friend?
Good. I know you've been following this case, and this may not be one of the most riveting elements of the case, but earlier today, when talking about cell phone information, we had the boyfriend of the defendant, or at least the boyfriend at the time of these events, which was back in May of 2017. So that testimony from that guy, I mean, he really came off as a pretty good boyfriend, if you ask me. He was there, he was supportive, he knew nothing about what was going on. He didn't know his prom date was not only pregnant, but, you know, there's nothing that ruins a prom date more than when your date goes into labor. That just, you know, it's not great. But tell me about the importance of his kind of testimony. It's just a guy who interacted with the defendant at this time.
Yeah, can you imagine just for a second being in his shoes? He's kind of struck by a thunderbolt out of the blue. You know, he's being directed in one way. He's talking about you know, there's conversations that are going on relative to her menses at that point in time, that she was cramping, she was uncomfortable. Sorry, I made our prom date, you know, miserable. Thank you for letting me squeeze your hand. And there's all of this kind of lovey-dovey going back and forth in the text messages, and he seems just, you know, just oblivious, you know, to what's going on. Even at one point, one of the most striking points in the testimony earlier for me was when prosecution asked him, directed his gaze to the prom photograph and said, "Does she appear pregnant to you now?" And you know,
in retrospect,
in this context, yeah, I guess she kind of does now.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. Well, love is blind, I suppose. Okay, let's go back into the courtroom, Joseph. Stand by. So, some very enlightening text messages there between Mom Kim Richardson and Brooke Skylar Richardson, talking about getting to the doctor for birth control pills. The mom talks about how you know, Brooke is now 18. I don't need to be involved. You go. The doctor talks to you. All of this going on with mommy having no clue that her daughter is already pregnant, and in fact has been telling her how bad it will be if she gets pregnant. No college, no future. The husband and the mother and dad talking about Joseph Scott Morgan, how her tummy looks like she needs to work out more. What kind of pressures are going on in this kid's life that mommy and daddy don't know what's going on, but certainly aren't helping their daughter in any way?
Yeah, you know, she's not going to go to the doctor with her because she's 18 years old, you know, to help her along with that. She can make those decisions. But, boy, we're going to tell you got a tummy and you need to work out, you know, kind of a bit sad, poignant, maybe. And it really gives you pause to think as an investigator looking at this case, was this a motivating factor? If we can draw any conclusion at all right now, this is, you know, it's all kind of speculative as to what led up to the death of the baby. If the baby was dead in utero or if the baby died following birth. And I think we still have a lot more questions than answers. And of course, in my sphere of expertise, I'm scratching my head because I don't have that much physical evidence to go on.
I mean, you know, the ultimate questions are still unanswered. Was the baby born alive or dead? And even if born alive, did this defendant do anything to create the situation where the baby died? Was it an outright murder? Was it an accident? We don't know any of that stuff. How is the jury supposed to make a decision on all those top charges when they don't have the basic raw info to do that?
Yeah, you know, that's one of the things that's kind of been eating at me along the way of this case. And, you know, as far as self-care goes, prior to the delivery, I'm wondering if the child was dead in utero, was this, you know, was this a case of her not taking good care of herself, eating properly, nourishing herself? I don't know what else may have been ingested along the way. that might not have been healthy for her. If in fact that's one, one of the indicators of causal factors, again, we can't go back in time and look at her. It's not like we're cutting through the rings of a tree here to see what happened in the past. That's gone. We're dealing in linear time here moving forward, and all we're left with are very few remains, and this kind of back and forth that we're seeing in this text message in particular, and the testimony of the boyfriend, and what's been implied by the mother here. And it does give us a chance to kind of scratch our head and look at all these pieces. And it doesn't, Michael, as you well know, it doesn't really matter what we think. I'm curious as to what kind of impact this is having on the jury. And what they're hearing. Are they as confused as we are?
Yeah,
I don't know. I know I'm confused.
And the jury, is going to look at this, and they're going to look at a couple of different things. Was the baby born alive? Yes or no? Did she do anything to kill the baby? Yes or no? If they can't answer that, can they come to a decision? They just jump right to the lesser charges. Okay, we're going to talk more about this. One of the things I really want to ask you about, Joseph, is this whole concept of the lack of evidence of the actual death, and then the bones and things they had to work with, and this whole MacGuffin, this whole red herring of the burning. That's crazy, and where it led may be the only reason we're in court right now. So let's take a quick break. We'll come back. This is the Law and Crime Network.